talk about? Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Yes, Ryan, I do want to talk about playoffs. Welcome to Monday Night Mayhem here, the home at NFLA on Belly Up Media. We're here to bring this matchup between the Lumberjacks and the Roughnecks to you tonight to see who is going to go on to face the Bombers in the championship game next week after the Rattlers went ahead and forfeited their playoff match against the Bombers this week. First off, though, we got to get the pleasantries out of the way. How are you doing this evening, Ryan?
I'm doing really well. Andrew, how about yourself?
I'm good. I'm ready to watch some exciting football, and I think we're in for a fantastic matchup tonight between
Absolutely.
One of the more explosive teams in the league and one of the hottest teams in the league right now, the Lumberjacks, and going up against a Roughnecks team that is quietly a very stout defensive and just hangs around tough most of the time. So I think we're in for a good one here tonight. This is two teams that split the season series. Earlier in the year, the Roughnecks won a low score of 14-8 against the Lumberjacks in the defensive game. And then in the second game between the two, the Lumberjacks came out. And even though it started off slow in the second half, they turned it on and won that one 30-8. So if you had to be looking for anything in this game, Ryan, what is the number one key factor you're looking for both of these teams to be able to pull off?
Well, right now the Lumberjacks they're a wagon right now. They've won their last 4 in a row to get to the second seed of the playoffs. I got some players to watch for you for our audience. On offense, the Lumberjacks, I've got my eye on number 1, Derek Banks Jr., arguably one of the top contenders for league MVP. He's a guy who, in the games I've watched or I've been a part of, he's been he's been hands down the most exciting player to watch on the field. For the Roughnecks, I've got my eye on Darian Jacobs Hudson. He's a quarterback. He's not quarterback. He's a wide receiver who can take a short pass and turn into a long game. A very Tyreek Hill-esque type of player. Very exciting to watch. He takes a short gain, turns into a long one. If you're a defensive back on the Lumberjacks defense tonight, you're going to want to make sure you have extra tight coverage on him, maybe double up on him in coverage. On the defensive side, for the Lumberjacks, I got Dante Casey. He'll probably see him lining up against Jacobs Hudson on the other side of the ball. And for the Roughnecks, I've got Logan. I got Logan Spann, number 55. He's a linebacker. So this is going to be a very entertaining matchup. I definitely expect some fireworks from both teams. Offensively, the Lumberjacks have a very sound running game. The Roughnecks, depending on who's at quarterback, they have a very adept passing game. So it's going to be a very entertaining affair for sure.
Yeah, I expect a physical matchup here. If there's one thing we've been able to count on from both of these teams is aggressive defense. And you said it, Dimitri Casey on defense for the Lumberjacks, and coming in at linebacker. He is not afraid to jump some plays, to make some special things happen on the defensive side of the ball. And we can't forget that a lot of these guys are playing both sides of the ball, including the possible MVP of the league this year, Derek Banks. He's also one of their top defenders as well. So Derek Banks is going to have his finger on the pulse of this game for sure. And yeah, he's just somebody who, you nailed it. When the ball's in his hands, you never know what's going to happen. And it's typically something good. He can turn something that is going south real fast into a positive play, even if it's just a couple yards. It's a lot better than losing the 15 because the snap went over his head. He's just explosive and he can get there. So I think what I would love to see the Roughnecks be able to do is have an aggressor really kind of shadow him and watch him. We'll see if they're able to pull that off. But I think this is going to have to be a defensive one game because I think the Lumberjacks can do too much on offense to where they should be able to take out the Roughnecks here and move on. But the Roughnecks can definitely play the defense if they want to stop them. So this should be interesting for sure.
Yeah. Now, if you're the Roughnecks, if you're on the offense, if the Lumberjacks are grinding down the ball to take time off the clock, do you rely on a quick strike, a quick pass, say to Jacobs Hudson to see what he can do with the ball to get some points back on the board?
Yeah, I mean, I think from what we've seen in this league and with these teams, you got to take advantage of every second on the clock and every moment you can.
The clock doesn't stop until the last
clock doesn't stop
minute of each half. Yep.
Exactly. So I expect the Roughnecks to, well, I should say, maybe not expect because they could surprise me, but I would say if I were them, I'd be looking to take any shots I can and maybe catch the Lumberjacks defense off guard a little bit. Because, like we said, because some of these guys are playing both sides of the ball, there is some tiredness that you got to take into account here.
Mm-hmm.
And if you play your cards right, you can definitely take advantage of that from either side, for either team here.
Yeah, fatigue is always going to be a factor, and especially when we're playing Ironman situations. Up here in upstate New York, we have the NAL, the National Arena League, which is a level that some of these guys might want to go to someday. The Albany Empire National Arena League doing Ironman rules this year, so it's going to help to have that experience on both sides of the ball if you want to go to the next level for indoor league or even the. Yeah, even like a lower indoor league or a higher indoor league. You never know which scouts looking at their tape.
Yeah, so what I'd like to kind of tackle here now as well is that, so we got the privilege of already knowing who the team is next week in the Bombers and the championship team. So we have this privilege to kind of look at both of these teams between the Roughnecks and the Lumberjacks and get a sense of what next week could look like depending on who comes out of this game. And from what we saw before is the Lumberjacks are the only team to have beaten the Bombers this year. Bombers have that only one loss on their record and holding on to first place. And the Lumberjacks win against them came later in the season, or it was more like mid-season, but it was definitely at the start of their kind of climb to this momentum that they've been carrying into the playoffs. I think the Lumberjacks and Bombers would be an absolute, offensive and defense, just exciting kind of matchup. But I don't rule the Roughnecks out. I'm not sure the Roughnecks could beat the Bombers, but I don't rule them out to give them a little run for their money and make them really work for it. How do you view these two teams in a possible matchup next week with the Bombers?
Well, if you look at the schedule, the Lumberjacks took the Bombers to the woodshed in week 4, 22-2, after avenging a week 1 loss. If it's the Lumberjacks and Bombers, that could be the marquee matchup. But this is the playoffs, and anything can happen. If you look at other leagues, you'll see lower seeds beat the higher seeds on a pretty regular basis now. So anything could happen between these two teams tonight. And, it could be either one of those teams could, especially the Lumberjacks. I think that they could give the Bombers a run for their money. But if you see the Lumberjacks, the Roughnecks have an upset tonight, they might be prone for another upset, especially against I guess you could say a fresher team, but a team that hasn't played in quite a while. And also there's that motivation of having been swept by the Bombers this year as added motivation if you're the Roughnecks. So a lot to see here tonight, a lot on the line tonight, and I don't know about you, Andrew, but I'm ready for some Monday Night Mayhem.
I am too, and you bring up a great point about the Bombers. They have had a more inconsistent schedule than the rest of these teams. They've been part of some of these forfeits, some of these canceled games because of scheduling, weather, or whatever the reasons were. So they have. You're right. This could be a situation where whoever comes into face the Bombers.
Hayden, we love fantasy football.
We do.
It's a fantastic game, yet still not perfect. Like, I hate leaving high-scoring players on my bench.
The worst, man.
In fact, hate it even more when I put injured players and they're in my starting lineup.
Can't have that.
And I need a life. The waivers, the trades, every single week, it grinds on me. So we at Underdog Fantasy want to make fantasy football easier for everyone out there. It's called Best Ball, and we set your optimal lineup for you each and every week. You can do it all year long. We have drafts going all the way.
Someone's having some fun in the truck, maybe. I don't know. maybe that's my sign. Maybe I'm talking too much here. Maybe my voice is running dry on some people here. But regardless,
I didn't mind the interruption. I can sip some of my mint tea, so we're good to go.
That's all right. But regardless, like I was saying, the Bombers could be ripe for the picking because, like you said, their freshness, they could be more fresh, or sometimes these harder fought games do a team a lot of good to be able to face that adversity and really feel that punch and that excitement. So it would not shock me if the champion came out of this matchup here tonight. I think the Bombers could be ripe for the picking. And if it's the Lumberjacks, I would definitely be picking the Lumberjacks. They've been my favorite since they started winning in week 3 or 4. So I'm looking for that to kind of keep going tonight. They would be my pick tonight over the Roughnecks.
I'm going to throw it back to you. I'm going to say I'm thinking the Roughnecks for the upset here. You're coming in motivated. Your last game was against the Bombers. You got skunked in that game 24-0. Before that, you got roughed up by the Lumberjacks. So there's a little bit of motivation to for the Roughnecks here to exact some revenge on a team that lit them up a couple weeks ago. And I think the Lumberjacks are the Roughnecks, excuse me, you can't sleep on them. I think no. there might be. I think there's an upset brewing tonight. I think there's a quiet. I think there might be an upset brewing tonight, and I'm going to take the Roughnecks in this game. I'm going to counter your prediction for the Lumberjacks. I'm going to take the Roughnecks in this game. Be a very close game, a very hard fought game, but I'm taking the Roughnecks tonight.
Either way, I think we're in for a close one tonight. I think we're in for an exciting finish and really excitement throughout the entire game. So without further ado, we're going to jump to a quick commercial break here, and then we're going to shoot you guys over to the booth with the real stars of the show, Mr. Vince Stover, DJ, and Jason Cooper, the commish, for your live broadcast, for your color and play-by-play. So stay tuned with us. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Aiden, we love fantasy football.
We do?
It's a fantastic game, yet still not perfect. Like, I hate leaving high-scoring players on my bench.
The worst.
In fact, hate it even more when I put injured players and they're in my starting lineup.
Can't have that.
And I need a life. The waivers, the trades, every single week, it grinds on me. So we at Underdog Fantasy want to make fantasy football easier for everyone out there. It's called Best Ball, and we set your optimal lineup for you each and every week. You can do it all year long. We have drafts going all the way from February to week 1 of the NFL season. What are you waiting for? Use our awesome early sign-up offer to get a little extra something on that first deposit and that first time you play on Underdog Fantasy.
You put them up, reach the skies, touch the stars up above, cause it's one time for the underdog.
Welcome in to Monday.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Welcome into Monday Night Mayhem, the NLFA's playoff game, live for you here on Belly Up TV. I'm Vince Stover. I'm joined by DJ Stewart. Welcome into this first ever Belly Up TV edition of the NLFA playoffs. We had another game scheduled before, but due to forfeit, we come down now to seeds 2 and 3. DJ, welcome into the program. And we've heard the guys talking here about kind of their thoughts going into this game, but let's get your thoughts on the Lumberjacks and the Roughnecks.
I will start by saying it is a shame that we only do get one playoff game in the first round. You understand the Bombers, they've been running through the Rattlers. It's been a really rough season for them, just injuries, some of the games. The way things have played out, it's been really rough for them. So the Bombers will be advancing. This is kind of the one. This was the main event of the opening round as well, too. So I'm glad we do get to keep this one. We heard in the pregame they talked all about the matchups, two head-to-head teams. One thing they didn't point out, though, I want to point out something that's very, very interesting about these two teams. The quarterbacks are going to get a lot of notoriety, rightfully so. Derek Banks Jr., arguably the league MVP. Ethan Ortiz, a fantastic quarterback himself, his own right. But these running backs have some attributes to them I want to point out as well, too. Starting with the Lumberjacks, Jamard Armstrong, standing at 6 feet tall, 274 pounds at running back, is going to be coming downhill at some point as well, too. So good luck defensive backs with that full-blown tank coming at you once it gets ahead of steam going. And then on the other side for the Roughnecks, not to be outdone, Travion Jones standing at 5'11", 235 pounds in his own right as well, too. So if this game gets close and they start kind of just trying to melt the clock, lean on the run game down the stretch too, keep possession, they got some running backs that can really tote the rock as well too. And then when you have less defenders as well too, all you have to do is get past that first level, that first set of defensive linemen, and that's a whole lot of human to be taken down by some smaller corners.
You're right, DJ. And actually, not just those two guys that you mentioned, both teams have a pretty good stable of running backs back there. We saw in the last week of the season, The Lumberjacks introduced to us Chris Williams, and we'll see him in this playoff game as well. Devontae West is a strong runner. They've got plenty of Lumberjack running backs, and same as well with the Roughnecks. Donovan Youngblood, Jordan Jeter. He's the quick, speedy back out of the backfield as well. These teams come in, Lumberjacks on a 4-game win streak, Roughnecks on a 2-game losing streak. And I was looking at it earlier. Lumberjacks, the number 1 offense in the league this year, the highest scoring offense. And then the Roughnecks come in as the worst defense. They're giving up the most points so far this season. So the question will definitely come down to what the defenses are going to do to contain. And they talked about it in the pregame as well. Derek Banks Jr., who again is one of the top leading candidates for MVP this year in the NLFA. He adds all kinds of excitement to a game as well, and so we'll get to see him going. Ethan Ortiz, DJ, is an interesting quarterback, I think, because there are games where he looks decent and good, and there's other games where it's just kind of overflowing and floating over players. But I want to see more of Ortiz's legs. When he gets moving and running, even getting outside the pocket or taking advantage of getting some yards, I think that's when the Roughnecks are the most explosive. But as you mentioned already, the run game is crucial for both of these teams, really, when it all comes down to it.
I like that you mentioned Ethan Ortiz, too, because me and my co-host for the High Low Sports Podcast, we like to call him Six Flags because he's a bit of a roller coaster ride as well, too. When he's on his game, when he's at his high points, he is arguably one of the best players in the entire league. He can throw dimes, he throws darts, gets everybody involved. But sometimes when he hits those lows, he just really seems to have struggle. You mentioned sails a little bit high, a little bit behind. We notice in these leagues there's only a few offensive linemen, so the pressure gets in quickly. You got to be make that decision quickly. If he hesitates, that's when I think he gets in trouble. So I wouldn't mind seeing them move him before the snap as well. Like, have a pre-designed rollout for him. Let him use those legs, simplify it a little bit so he doesn't have to think under fire, if that makes sense. He doesn't have to matrix defenders to try and get a ball. If I want it to be roll him out, let him put it up. I mean, I talked about the attributes of the running backs. I want to look at Jack Wesley II on the Roughnecks as well, too. 6'3", 245-pound receiver who every time I watch their games, he flies off the screen. He's almost DK Metcalf the way he gets by people. They just have trouble getting the ball. And considering you could be able to just snap and throw it up to him and let him rebound at some point. So I'm curious to see if they kind of game plan to get Ortiz rolling early so he can climb that roller coaster and then get their big playmakers involved too. Because you mentioned Youngblood, Jones, they have a lot of playmakers. They just got to find a way to get them the ball. And you mentioned with their defense too, they got to find a way to score some points because Derek Banks is going to find the end zone against this defense. So I look for them to make the game easy for Ortiz so he can ride the top part of that roller coaster.
When we talk about riding roller coasters, one of the names that I think of is Jason Cooper. We're going to ask the truck to go ahead and bring him in to the program as we get ready to head out to the game. Jason will be our third man in the booth, the first time ever. History being made at Belly Up TV. Jason Cooper adds to the booth as well. Jason, welcome in. Let's get your quick thoughts before we go out to kickoff, so to say, on what you got going on for Roughnecks and Lumberjacks today.
Yeah, some great points made by both of you. But speaking of roller coasters, that's how my internet's been going tonight. So if I go out, that's me going down on the roller coaster. However, yeah. So great points by both of you. Ortiz, like you said, it was such the spot on observation to call him that because it's been up and down. He shows flashes of brilliance at times, and then at other times, not so much. So, great observations. I'm really excited. Want to see a good game tonight. We've seen this Roughneck team surprise this Lumberjack team before. So Lumberjacks looking pretty good going in, but, it's any given Sunday and it's playoff time. Win or go home. It'll be exciting to see if the Roughnecks can, put some pressure on the Lumberjacks early and make some plays happen.
All right, let's go down to the field now and let's get this game started. It is NLFA Playoffs Monday Night Mayhem right here on Belly Up TV. And we're going to take you down. All right, here we go. Out to the field. And, of course, one thing we didn't mention pregame is Drew Brees said he might come back and play football soon. He's, got some familiarity with Louisiana. Maybe we see Drew Brees out here next season.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say if Drew Brees joins this league, he'll be MVP that first year as well, too. I just have a hunch. I don't know what I based on, but I have a good feeling he could walk in there and make some noise real quickly. The question is, which team is he going to join now? Is he going to join the Rattlers and try and flip things on its head? or is he going to join the Bombers and try and, Kevin Durant his way to that title as well, to enjoying that top team? So that's my question: is which team would Drew Brees join if he did jump into this league?
Oh yeah, that's good. That's a great question, DJ. Way to go. There'd be a job opening for him on any team, I would say, more than likely. So we got a little pregame festivity going on here, a little bit of joking around, which is nice to see players and officials on a lighter mood here to start off this game. But we're going to see the Roughnecks with the ball first, and again, this is a 9-man tackle football, Northern Louisiana Football Alliance. And so we will see the Roughnecks go first, the Lumberjacks on defense. And for the offense right now, you're going to see Ethan Ortiz at quarterback, Donovan Youngblood will start out at running back, Tavarius Harris starting, as well as DJ Pope at wide receiver, Noah Stanley at wide receiver also. We'll see a lot of Cordarian Hines. He plays tight end. He'll mix around a few different places. He's number 23. You'll see him as well. Here we go. Snap number 1 of NLFA playoffs is underway. It's a handoff to Youngblood. He comes back through the middle before finally being brought down, and immediately we're seeing that run game that DJ you talked about, trying to get that thing going early.
Absolutely. Well, while I did mention Youngblood is the absolute tank as I did with some of the other guys, you could see when we got to that second level, the defensive backs immediately were not too thrilled about that. So you do get a very nice look here from the huddle, from this drone camera as well, too. So I expect that they're going to get Youngblood going early. It's going to be a long night for the secondary for the Lumberjacks.
Yeah, and one thing we've seen from both of these teams as the season's rolled on is we've seen new players brought in. Here we see flags fly as we see jumping early, a lot of pointing. It was his fault. No, it was his fault. They're going to say false start on the offense, moving it the other direction. Your Quinn Green tapping his head saying, my bad, guys. We'll see a lot of Quinn Green in this game as well, as he'll be playing offensive line and defensive line. He's a beast there on the defensive side as well.
One thing I noticed too is you mentioned how every time there's a false start of movement, they're always pointing at each other. I've never seen someone say my bad and actually blame themselves, like when you get a foul in the NBA or something like that as well. We got ourselves a turnover right away as well too, with miscommunicated snaps. So Vince, it looks like not even a full 2 minutes into the game, we got ourselves our first turnover.
Last week I wanted to comment real quick because I finally got back on the internet. I want to comment last week on this. There was a lot of mix-ups between the center and the QB, and now in our first exchange here between the running back and the quarterback, again, some miscommunication, now causing some huge drive killer for them to start off right away. Lumberjacks in great territory.
Good point, Cooper. And that's a low snap, and then trying to get it into the running back's hands could not make it happen. And so now an ever dangerous Derek Banks Jr. is at quarterback. 2 running backs, and he's going to hang on to it and try to take it himself. Gets around the left side. Not a whole lot of yards there for Derek Banks Jr. Let's look at the offense real quick that they're starting with. Derek Banks Jr. at quarterback, Chris Williams and Devontae West at running back, Jeffrey Flournoy and Justin LeBlanc will be your wide receivers on one side, Marvin Carter on the other side. And then we'll see a 3-man line as we normally do. Jamad Armstrong starting at center today. And he was a name that was brought up as a running back, and he has played running back throughout the season. But he's snapping the ball right now to Derek Banks Jr.
I'm looking for some fumble rooskies or something. You got to get that man the ball now if he's going to be playing centers. Find a way to get him the ball.
Second down.
I wouldn't want to be on the other side of the ball.
Yeah, second down. Devontae West goes nowhere. So 2 straight plays trying to kind of stick with that simple run stuff, and it's not working yet for the Lumberjacks, and the Roughnecks doing a great job on defense. And, we didn't talk prediction on our end, but I'll tell you, with looking at just the stats, the Lumberjacks, the leading scoring team in the league, the Roughnecks, the giving up the most points in the league, immediately my thought goes to the Lumberjacks. And look at this, Jacoby Cass now in the backfield. That's a big boy, number 36.
Yeah, so that's 5'8", 250 pounds, and they're going to take this one right up the gut as Derek Banks is going to get outside and scoot his way into the end zone for our first touchdown of the game. You ask of Derek Banks, and he does deliver, cashing in on the 3rd offensive play of the game for the Lumberjacks.
And what a great
said it,
setup.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Vince. Go ahead.
What a great
setup with the misdirection. What a great setup with the misdirection, able to set. They've been setting this play up. They set it up earlier. Boom, he's open. He runs it in. Easy money for the Lumberjacks.
Yeah, a lot of speed coming from that left side across the line, and the whole defense kind of went with them. Banks takes it the other way. Here we go. Now for the conversion. Banks will hold on to it again, going straight up the middle. He gets the conversion as well, and just like that, the Lumberjacks jump on, take advantage of the early turnover. The defense does its job. The offense does its job, and we've got an 8-0 game here early on in the first quarter. Lumberjacks over the Roughnecks. And so what do we need to see now from the Roughnecks offense other than not turn the ball over? What do you got for us, DJ?
That's definitely a good thing. First, let's start by holding on to the ball. Second of all, one thing we saw the Lumberjacks do, and they've done all season. I like the idea of having two backs back there because it helps your offensive line a lot if you do try to pass the ball as well too, because it gives you that extra body to help block as well too. Because we've noticed a lot in these leagues, defenses seem to get through pretty quickly. They send 4, they send 5, and immediately they're in the quarterback's face. So I like the idea of using an extra running back here. It looks like they're going to be rolling with a tight end to try and mimic that, but I like the idea of having a second back in the backfield.
Yeah, they're going to look at Jeter now instead of Youngblood. And another fumble. And this one looks like it's recovered as well by the Lumberjacks. Similar situation, just trying to hand it off to Jeter. It looks like it popped right off his chest and into the Lumberjacks' waiting arms. And if you're the Roughnecks now, you've got to be questioning, were we ready for this game?
I mean, one time, okay, fool me once, shame on me, but fool me twice, then wipe the popcorn off your hands next time before you go out there as well, too. So you can't have 2 fumbles in your first 3 plays of the game as well, especially when you had a nice 5 minutes start to the game when everyone was chatting. So they definitely their defense has to lock up here after what the offense has given them these first few possessions.
All right, here we go. It's going to be Banks again holding on to it, getting around the right side with a couple lead blockers before getting brought down. And good gain there for Banks. And it looks like Derek Banks has decided, hey, I'm going to go ahead and try to take care of this game early. And he's reading whatever he's reading. He's just going to hang on to it himself and do his best with what he has. This Lumberjacks team, they're known for their run game, even though Banks can throw the football, and they've got some decent receivers out there. They've got a stout running back group, including the quarterback, Derek Banks Jr. Second down and 4. It's going to be West this time, around to the left side spin. Whoop, and he's going to cut back through. Not a whole lot of yards for him. A good job by the Roughnecks defense to collapse and make that tackle.
That's the first time we've seen from the Roughnecks defense they've actually been able to keep contain on the edges as well, too. We saw in that first drive it was only a few plays, but Banks was able to hit the hedge each time as the ends were almost pinching in right off of the tackles. That time we actually saw them keep contained and actually push them backwards a little bit to set up a 3rd down and 6. So we'll see how the Lumberjacks will adjust if the Roughnecks could keep that contained.
Roughnecks kind of switch their defense around. Banks is looking to pass for the first time, and he is sacked right there. Ooh. Number 8 on the play. Big-time play there for the Roughnecks, finally getting a big stop on this play.
We talked about it, too. Their defense has been giving up a fair amount of points this year, I think you could say as well, too. And the Lumberjacks known for their scoring, but that's a huge stop that they needed to set up a 4th down and 12 situation. So the Roughnecks giving their offense every chance they have after a rough couple of possessions. So that's a huge sack for the Roughnecks, to push the Lumberjacks back.
Yeah, quick timeout there. They'll come back out on 4th and 12.
No pun intended with the rough.
He got it.
And then we've got, I don't have a number 8 on my roster. I apologize to his mother for not saying his name, but here we go. They're going to go for it on 4th and 12. Banks back to pass. He's looking to the left, throwing a little high, and it's incomplete. And the Roughnecks hold on after the turnover. That's Pugh there. Pugh. We've liked him all season long. Melvin Pugh with a big defensive hold as well. And now the Roughnecks get the ball back, still only down 1 possession.
You can't ask for much more than that after basically for the second time giving the spot in the offense the ball inside scoring territory. So if you're the Roughnecks defense, you look at the offense, you say 2 hands on the ball, cover the points and roll with it. No more fumbles. You give them that Friday night's light speech and tell them that you hold on to the ball and you go the other direction because you can't keep giving them possessions inside scoring territory. You got away with it this time, but you're still down 8-0 with 5 minutes to go in the first.
Yeah. All right, here we go. We're moving on. Roughnecks with the ball. Beautiful camera view there. Thank you to the drone footage. Here comes Ortiz. He's under all kinds of pressure. Gets loose to the right. Now he's looking to stay and get some yardage, and he slides out of bounds, maybe a yard gain or 2 on that play. Ortiz, a good job to avoid that sack that time.
Absolutely, he did a great job breaking the contain. And very similar to Derek Banks, is once he can get the edge, that's when he can get his most dangerous. I think they need to find a way to get some receivers on that side of the field for him so he has the option to throw it. Because you could tell he was looking to throw. He wasn't fully committed to the run until he had no choice at the back end of it.
Looked a lot like Jason Cooper there, evading the pressure.
Yes, just like Jason Cooper's internet evading his ability to communicate.
We've mentioned it before, too, Vince, with Ortiz using his.
And we're going to see this swing pass out into the flat from Ortiz and cutting upfield for a gain of maybe 2 to 3 yards to set up a much more manageable third down as well, too. So looks like that was number 9 cutting upfield for them as well, too. So we're going to see a third down and very short coming up for the Roughnecks, a much improved drive compared to their first couple of plays.
Yeah, Weston Bigby, he's a backup quarterback. Actually started the year as the starting quarterback. I've said it every time I've done their games. I'd like to see more Weston Bigby at quarterback. He's a dynamic athlete. When he gets the ball in space, he can make a lot of things happen. To trust Ethan Ortiz, though, and I think that's fine as long as they try to do more to get Weston Bigby involved in the offense. So here we go. We've got Bigby to the right of Ortiz, 3rd down and 4, and you got to know here the Lumberjacks are coming after you. Ortiz takes the snap. He's going to roll to his right under all kinds of pressure. Throwing, he's got a man wide open down the right side, and that is a huge play there, and a great effort. I believe that's Cordarian Hines. It is the tight end rolling out there to the right and making the catch, making a big gain for a first down. That's that's by far the best play we've seen the Roughnecks make on offense so far.
The big man showing some pretty feet, by the way, too. Sorry, DJ, but my internet's up and I got to get it in when I can. So showing some sweet feet down the sidelines, putting the Roughnecks in some good field position finally.
Absolutely fantastic work.
That was the Rex Ryan play. They called that one. Ortiz with the snap gives it to Bigby. He's going to cut back. Here you go. Elusiveness. And it's Weston Bigby continuing to make plays. Touchdown, Roughnecks.
That's a man-style run right there, gentlemen.
That man had he had those good Wheaties and with a bowl of milk on the side of it as well, too. That was a fantastic run, breaking all kinds of tackles. All we were missing were a few whoops all the way along. So fantastic run by Bigby. You talked about former quarterback. You see why he's playing running back now a little bit with feet like that.
Yeah, he's their starting linebacker. He's their running back / receiver / sometimes quarterback. He's as Cordell Stewart as you can get in this league right now. And for you young kids, go Google it. He was worth the entertainment. Ortiz back at quarterback now for the conversion. Jeter will line up beside him to his left. You can see DJ Pope in the slot over there on the left as well. Ortiz rolling left, running straight ahead, taking the contact, and he's in. And then we got a tie game, 8-8. Here, what a first quarter we're seeing so far for the Roughnecks and the Lumberjacks.
Absolutely great job by Ortiz. They're taking it upon himself to find his way into the end zone. He was able to break the pocket, and we talked about in the pregame. When he gets outside the pocket is when he can be his most dangerous. And you saw there, everyone kind of sat back, and he took it on himself. So we might have ourselves a quarterback duel now that the fumbles.
Big answer from the
taken care of.
I hear you, Coop. So there we go. The answer, as Cooper said, the big answer for the Roughnecks, tying the game, 2 turnovers, and they're still and it's 8-8 here in the first quarter. So they're surviving to this point. Now Derek Banks back in at quarterback. To his left is Chris Williams. To his right is West. They're going to go with the little trickery here. It's Flournoy. He's got to the left. Now he's scooting to the right. He's all the way across the field. He's avoiding tacklers all the way down to the 40-yard line. What a run by Jeffrey Flournoy.
It looked like about a 15 to 20-yard gain vertically, but I think he covered about 40 yards laterally as well, too, getting the end around and completely reversing field as well, too. He turned that into a kick return, and fantastic footwork from the receiver on that play as well, too. And creative play calling to try to get those defensive linemen and defensive ends kind of confused with some of the misdirection they've been using early on in this game.
Yeah, that misdirection scored a touchdown earlier when they faked that handoff. Now they're going to try some different things. It's going to be a run off to the left for Devontae West. The big man is battling for some yards. And, so far in this game, what we've seen is the big men getting caught and the speedsters being elusive. So maybe we start to see them go away from more of the bigger backs and trying to get a little bit more in with these smaller, quicker guys because they've had the most success so far in this game.
especially when they are able to get outside like that as well too. We've seen a lot of the big guys going outside. I kind of want to see them maybe keep it between the guard tackle box a little bit, make them go downhill a little bit more instead of having the big guys have to move laterally.
Hand off to the right. No, Banks hangs on to it. He goes left. He's met there, runs over the cornerback, Melvin Pugh, and gets another yard after it. A big run there, Derek Banks, and we've seen it out of Ethan Ortiz too. Not afraid of contact for these quarterbacks.
Not at all as well. They almost seem like they're looking for contact. You could tell they haven't played quarterback their whole life. There's a running back stint in there, maybe like a fullback or a tight end. Like there's a little bit of quarterback variation those days, the way they did that shoulder down and try to initiate contact at the back end of their runs.
That's the old school high school quarterbacks back when they weren't allowed to throw the football. It looks like we have made it to the end of the first quarter. We're going to cut away for a quick break. When we come back, quarter number 2 of Roughnecks Lumberjacks. We're tied 8-8 at the end of 1.
Hey, everybody, it's Vince with the Sports Stove Podcast, inviting you to join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Belly Up TV, 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. as well. The Sports Stove Podcast is a traditional sports talk show talking about professional and collegiate sports. We've got great guests. We've had Division I head football coaches like Walt Wells from Eastern Kentucky, Tom Allen from Indiana. We've had an athletic director. We've had a conference president, professional athletes, UFC fighters, the whole gamut, along with media personalities from around the world. So we encourage you to tune in. Of course, you can always get the audio wherever you get your podcast for the Sports Stove Podcast. But tune in every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday and see what's cooking on the Sports Stove Podcast.
Hey, that was one good-looking guy. Here we are. Now we're into the second quarter of the NLFA playoff round, and we still have the Lumberjacks with the ball, 3rd and 3, and it is a quick game as the clock runs pretty much the entire game. We're going to pitch it out here to the left. It's Justin LeBlanc. He avoids nice hit there by Stanley, but a nice play in the first down there for the Lumberjacks. Now that's I don't know if that's technically a pass. It may have been backwards. It still counts as a run, but we got to see the quarterback throw the football at least, DJ.
You know what? I'm happy to see that as well, too. They got to cook things up a little bit, if you will, to help their offense out and get the quarterbacks going. That's a good job. Let's get the ball at Derek Banks' hands. They've been committing to the run this entire game. That's an easy first down and an easy job to get them in rhythm.
Big first down to continue that drive, too.
Yeah, and we talked about it earlier. Once they get outside when they've had success, well, why not get it out there faster with the throw versus the run? Now we got the big boy rumbling, but they fake it to him. It's Banks. He keeps it off to the left, and a little bit of a he avoided contact. Let's put it that way. Banks runs out of bounds after getting the first down. It'll be first down and goal. Interesting after what we've seen from these quarterbacks so far as he takes it there and runs out of bounds.
Look, I'm not a quarterback.
I think I've seen that play somewhere before, by the way.
I will say I don't play defense for the NFLA, and I don't pretend to, but I am surprised that they haven't kind of keyed in on these quarterback keepers a little bit more often. It seems like every time there's a fake handoff motion, everyone crashes in on the running back or the ball carrier, and they completely lose quarterback contain. It seems like at some point someone's going to be like, I'm just going to go after number 1. If I'm wrong, that's okay, but he's not beating us anymore.
Great point. Here we go. Handoff is going to be to West. He gets around to the right side. He's not going to try to avoid contact. There is a flag down on the play. Let's see.
That's a horrible call. That's a horrible call, Vince. I mean, the guy was already ran past him, and he's throwing a flag. Listen, and let's talk about something else, too. That hairstyle, bro, went on in the 80s. We're looking out there like Eazy-E. All right, let's move on. Horrible call.
Well, Miami with the burn from Commissioner Cooper out there. All right, we got things that got a little bit spicy on the stove today.
I don't know who that is, Jason, that you said the hairstyle, but
whoa! Did you just say you don't know who Eazy-E is now? I mean,
that's the world I live in, my friend.
All right, Jason, you gotta take over now. You gotta take over for me. I gotta resuscitate myself.
I'm YouTubing at halftime.
All you have to know, Vince, is the boys in the hood are always hard.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Here we go. Back to football, real football action here. They're trying to use that motion to deceive the defense. It doesn't work this time. As DJ said, key in on the quarterback. They did, and nothing going there for the Lumberjacks. And they've got a ways to go. But when you get down to this point of the field, it's touchdown or bust. We don't see teams doing anything other than going for it when they get into these places.
I will say, first of all, if there's any NFA teams hiring for a defense coordinator, I will accept my money in a briefcase as well, too. That's the one thing you need is you bring that extra guy and just key it on the quarterback. It nullifies the biggest part of the Lumberjacks offense. So I expect them to do that the rest of the game and force Williams and some of the running backs to beat them.
Here we go. Banks throwing to the left. It is intercepted.
Oh.
That's
if my internet was up quicker, DJ, I had the same notes written down. They just need to key in on the quarterback. I mean, it doesn't get much simpler than that. And, look what we have here. You put him in a space where he has to make a play, make space, boom, interception. There we go.
Absolutely. That one just kind of threw that one up for grabs. So I don't think I think that was just kind of a jump ball situation, but the ball ended up dying on him midway through there. So questionable throw, a very rare one from Derek Banks, who's been pretty much phenomenal all season.
Yeah, and so now the Roughnecks, who've coughed it up twice, they get the turnover now. So now the defense doing their part to help out their offense. But granted, they are pinned a good ways back here, and this Lumberjack defense has a chance to do some business as well. Ortiz in at quarterback. You see the defense there. Got a couple hands on hips and knees. Guys kind of down. A warm day in Louisiana. We've got a new left tackle in the game as well. Devontrez Jackson is there. I guess he's been at left tackle. He's not been on defense today as much. There we go. The snap to Ortiz. Jeter does not get it. It's Ortiz trying to run. He's going to avoid one and then get brought down.
There's a whole lot of movement on that play for not a whole lot of yards as well, too. I know the Lumberjacks have had success with misdirection, but I think the Roughnecks should continue north and south first until they get a little bit more of a rhythm before trying to have a spider web in the backfield of movement.
Ortiz proving it. He's doing it with his legs today, though, Vince. You've been mentioning that in our previous broadcast. He's actually doing that a little today, along with his arm a little bit. So, hey, he's keeping the Roughnecks in this game so far.
Yeah, a mistake-free Ortiz and a moving Ortiz is going to be a good thing for the Roughnecks. He's got Jeter there in the backfield with him. Jeter is incredibly fast, can do a lot on the ground as well. Here we go with the snap. Ortiz back to pass. He's throwing deep down the field. It is caught. Might be the longest pass play we've seen all year. It's Noah Stanley, the starting wide receiver and safety for the Roughnecks, with a huge play. Ortiz puts it right on the spot.
That might have been the best throw we've seen all season from across all teams as well, too. That was an absolute dart from Ortiz, dropping it right into his hands. And what a fantastic play and a big answer back when it felt like this was on the verge of being a blowout not too long ago after 2 early fumbles. The Roughnecks have battled back and made this a rough situation for the Lumberjacks.
Great points,
using
DJ.
The pun correctly, indeed, DJ. Loving the rough style that he's bringing tonight. Huge throw, like you mentioned, Vince. And if you watch the play back, I wish we had a little bit of instant replay. The corner tried to make a play. He was right there, but it was him or bust, no safety help. Once he made that miss, it was lights out. 9-9 touchdown. Roughnecks up. Let's see if they can put on the extra point.
Well, and DJ said it's the best pass we've seen all season across the league. We've seen some thrown up like that, but they've been thrown up to the point where it was a contested catch. That one was perfectly thrown in stride. And then Stanley, after he caught it, like you said, Cooper, the defender was trying all or nothing basically. And when he missed out on it, that was the end of this story. So here we go now for the conversion. Ortiz, he's got Cordarian Hines in the backfield with him. They hand it to Hines. He gets brought down though immediately in the backfield there by Marvin Pugh not Noah Pugh. That's the wrong team. He got brought down by Dimitri Casey there of the Lumberjacks. So 14-8 is the score. And DJ, you said it. It looked like the Lumberjacks were going to run away with this game, and all of a sudden they are losing by a touchdown.
We might have to start calling them, instead of the Roughnecks, the Resilient Necks as well, too, because they did a fantastic job answering back. But I do want to point out my qualms with that 2-point conversion. Ethan Ortiz has been cooking for you these last few drives. And then in that 2-point conversion, you go with the handoff right into a brick wall when the Lumberjacks had all of their defensive linemen up there. I would have liked to see them let Ortiz keep that and let him work in open space, as he's had so much success doing the last couple of drives. But that's me nitpicking the team that's out in front, considering after those first 2 drives, there's not a lot to complain about.
Cordarian Hines is the tight end typically. Here we go, a run for the Lumberjacks trying to get things going. That's Chris Williams finally getting a touch He's a dynamic running back as well, and a good run for him. You look at size advantages, and the Lumberjacks got a pretty big offensive line with Jamad Armstrong, Devontrez Jackson, and Byron Turner up front. Turner more athletic up there. You go to the left side is where you get Devontrez Jackson, and he's just bigger than everybody out there, with the exception of maybe the guy standing right across from him.
Absolutely. A huge size discrepancy in favor of the Lumberjacks. I expect them to use it as they have a lot of success using it here as they get out into open space and a gain of about 2 to 3 yards, getting it really close, make it a third down and very, very short. So I expect to see them use that size advantage down this rest of this game.
Yeah, and a great run here by the Lumberjacks. Getting that run game going with Dante Casey that time. Go ahead, Jason.
Seem like see a lot of runs to the left side. Might be seeing something here from the Roughnecks, so that's where they're seeming to attack a lot. So, you know, what is that side of the field a little weaker today? Who knows? But that's what it looks like what the Lumberjacks are heading right now.
Yeah, that's where you got your big guy blocking too, so you want to take advantage of your advantage for sure. Now, one running back in the backfield. Now they're going to bring him across. It looked like an early off there for the Roughnecks. But Banks makes the most of it, gets around the corner and out of bounds, pretending like he was going to take contact, but going out of bounds and first down. Didn't that look like the defense jumped to start that play?
It seemed like everybody was a little bit lost there, and then Derek Baines catching it in for him and getting the first down, because that one looked like they were looking. I was waiting for the finger pointing that we talked about earlier too, like jumping off sides and everyone just kind of points at each other. But Derek Baines just kind of took it upon himself, and fantastic effort from the quarterback.
Ryan pointed out earlier, Derek Banks making the case for MVP of the league, especially making plays like that, improvising when it's needed.
Continuing to roll in different running backs. It's Jacoby Cass back there again. He's huge. But they're going to go more with the speed, use Cass as a blocker out to the right side, avoiding one tackle, and then finally being pushed out by Quinn Green. It is Dante Casey again, 6'1", 185, third year in the league. He's been around for a while, a savvy vet, and showed some good skills there as well.
Absolutely. One thing to notice about the Lumberjacks is they have a lot of experience on their team. There's a lot of 2- and 3-year players on that roster as well, to a lot of 3-year players. So, you know, even in a situation where they kind of gave up what seemed to be a dominant start to the game, they're going to be resilient and calm and fight their way back in this one. You knew they weren't out of it yet with all that experience.
Yeah, Roughnecks feeling the momentum shifting. They call a timeout, get their breath right, talk through it with the coaching staff to figure out exactly what they're going to do to try to contain now this offense who is starting to find holes here in this defense, and they're going to go again. Some big backs back there. Devontae West, Jacoby Cass. They're going to move Cass up. My guess is they're running right here. Bad snap picked up by West, and he's brought down almost immediately. He made a little bit out of nothing, but that could have been disastrous for this Lumberjacks offense.
That is the third really low snap we've seen that almost result in a fumble. The first couple were by the Roughnecks, but now the Lumberjacks the center's got a little something to keep up on. They got to start popping that ball up just a little bit more, because one of these could turn into a disastrous game-changing play, as you mentioned. Yeah,
and there is a flag on the play. The officials will talk about it for a second and decide if they actually want to call the penalty or not. Let's see what they call. Face mask on the defense. So there's extra yards.
Yeah, that's a big possession here for the Lumberjacks.
Ooh. Good, Jason.
I think I'm on a big delay, so my apologies. But all I was saying was this is a big drive for the Lumberjacks. Got to get a score in before the half, the way this game's going so far. So, yeah, big drive right here.
Delay game penalty on Jason Cooper in the broadcast booth. All right, here we go. Banks is talking to Devontae West. Again, they've got Cass to his right, West to his left. And last time they were down here, Banks threw up a pass and it got intercepted. So let's see if they hang on to it and keep it on the ground. They're going to go with Cass. Oh, my goodness. Oh, there we go. That's what I like to see. That's the old refrigerator Perry, or even B.J. Raji running straight up the middle there, trying to get some extra yards, and they got a few there, didn't they, DJ?
I'm gonna have to grab an ice pack, because that collision was pretty nasty collision they had right there. We talked about getting these big running backs they have going downhill, and Cass got that ball and got a few steps before that first, and he got to meet with that linebacker and defensive lineman square up. So honestly, if I'm them, I do that exact same play again. It's basically make them stop it and stop it multiple times. Even if you do slow them down, it hurts.
2nd and 8. It's going to be West out to the right side. And a good open field tackle there by the Roughnecks. That one could have been much more yardage than it was. But a great job. I believe that's Jeter that made that tackle out there on Devontae West in the right side, right flats.
Absolutely fantastic open field tackle on a guy who's really tough to tackle in space as well, to end a hole into a gain of looks like 1, if even that, to make it a 3rd and 8. So I stand by it. I want to see Cass getting the ball going downhill again as well, too, because he's going to fall forward for 2 yards just if he trips over the line of scrimmage at this point. So I like the idea of getting these big backs going downhill early to open up those end arounds later.
Yeah, and this Roughneck defense is lined up to not give you the edge, and so they're going to try to take the middle, and there is nowhere to go there either. They try to make it happen. It doesn't happen. Dante Casey, nowhere to go. And it looks like this Lumberjack offense is a little confused because the defense is setting up so far on the outside, but those guys in the middle are doing just enough to maintain the middle as well. Roughnecks may have figured out what to do to beat this Lumberjack team.
Fantastic defensive adjustment they have come through. As you mentioned, they are holding the edges now. They're forcing everything basically right up the funnel, which is kind of counterintuitive to most football. They mostly say you hold the middle and stretch things out wide. They're doing the opposite. And it's really throwing this Lumberjacks offense into a tailspin. And now 4th and 7, we'll see what they have drawn up out of this timeout if they could cook something up. Because as Jason mentioned, this is a big drive going into halftime and try and get some points and answer back as the Roughnecks have all the momentum on their side.
I wanted to point out the strategy of the timeout with the running clock. Let's take a timeout right here, waste some time, and not give the Roughnecks any time if we score. I like that.
That's a great point, Jason. He's watching even if he is delayed. Here we go. Banks trying to keep it himself, going to the left side. Hit and brought down. Nowhere for Banks to go. And a huge stand for the Roughnecks here. And the Lumberjacks, they just look lost on offense.
They tried to roll out Banks to the left, which I like the idea of get him moving as well, too. But he ran directly. Him and his running back kind of collided, a little miscommunication about where they're spacing on that play. And I think that play ended up being doomed from the start as well, too. So just these little small things that they're usually so on point with throughout the season, just like little tiny. It's like 1,000 paper cuts is starting to come and affect them in this game.
Oh, I hate a paper cut. All right, here we go. The Roughnecks now take over on offense. Time is running. Approximately 1 minute, 40 seconds to go in the half. Roughnecks lead 14-8 against the highest scoring team in the league. The Roughnecks look like they're in control at the moment, but more points definitely would not hurt this Roughnecks team. So Ortiz at quarterback, he threw a beautiful pass for the last touchdown. He's got Youngblood in the backfield with him. Got 2 receivers to his left, 1 receiver to his right. Noah Stanley to the right, the one that caught the touchdown pass earlier. He'll go 4 linemen. Technically, it's 3 linemen and 1 tight end. Here comes the snap. Ortiz rolling right. Now he's trying to cut up. There's nowhere for him to go, and that's the second time in this game that we've seen a big play there for Dimitri Casey.
It looked like they wanted to roll out Ortiz, and it looked like they were trying to go for it again. It kind of had to look like they were going to set up a rollout and let him throw it out deep and see if they can get another bomb play before the half. So I like the creative strategy, but when you're pinned this far back, I think maybe they're just kind of let the clock run, or maybe stay safe and don't risk a safety or anything really dangerous deep in your own territory.
Yeah, gentlemen, do you know what the score was the last time the Roughnecks defeated the Lumberjacks?
It was 14-8.
Woo! Is the commissioner trying to insinuate we're going to have a very defensive second half now? Is that a prediction I catch?
Ortiz back to pass, throws to the left. It is deflected and knocked down, and we see that the Roughnecks here trying to be safe, but still get it out on the outside there and do something with it. But this Lumberjacks defense, when they get going at you, Dimitri Casey there, he's coming off the left side of the offensive line, and he's getting some pressure back there. Jamada Armstrong is kind of coming up the middle. You got Quinn Green also is relatively up the middle. And then Devontae West on the other end. It's Byron Turner on the other end coming as well. And so they're trying to get that pressure to not give Ortiz any time to just toss it up like he did before.
Absolutely as well, too. They're doing a great job not letting Ortiz get nothing. Don't let him get anything cheap here at the end of the half. He's already shown the ability to make that big play. And looks like they're going to try something here at the end. And really rough pass. Almost there as well. That was very, very dangerous. The one thing we said for them not to do, and it almost cost them.
It almost cost him big time. He's trying to get it out there to the tight end, Cordarian Hines, and could not get him there. Fortunately for Ortiz, the ball fell to the ground incomplete. And now there is some talking going on. I always love this aspect of the game. Looks like I think we're going to get to halftime. We are going to get to halftime, so we're going to take a break. We're in the NLFA playoffs, friends. It's Roughnecks 14, Lumberjacks 8. We're going to break away for a break, and then we'll get you to the halftime show with Andrew LaDuke and Ryan McCarthy. We'll be back with more football after these messages.
Hey gang, it's Commissioner Cooper from TSS Fantasy. We are the fantasy show of the people. That means we give the people what they want. Expert fantasy advice, leading medical and legal analysis, free contests, and innovative games to keep you entertained. Watch us live with the Tiki Live app on the Belly Up Sports channel, subscribe to us on YouTube, or follow us on all social media platforms. Visit TSSFantasy.com today for all the latest updates from the fantasy show of the people. We put the fun in fantasy.
Yeah!
Instead of the mayo.
Over sour cream, yeah.
Right. That's because you have high cholesterol. Okay.
If you drafted Julio Jones,
you got ghosted.
This is amazing. TSS Fantasy is like an orgasm. If I had a cigarette, I'd smoke it. I'm pumped to be here. This is the show of shows.
TSS Fantasy, the fantasy show of the people.
And welcome to the halftime report of Monday Night Mayhem of this special edition playoff matchup between the Lumberjacks and the Roughnecks. And look, Ryan, we saw a lot of what we kind of expected, a close, hard-fought game. The Roughnecks come out early with some quick turnovers. And yeah, the Lumberjacks were able to take advantage of one of those, but typically from what we've seen of the Lumberjacks is they tend to take advantage of all the turnovers that come their way. And they just seem to be on a bit of a downhill slide as this half continued on offense. What are you seeing from the Lumberjacks on offense that might be part of the problem right now?
The one problem I'm seeing with the Lumberjacks offense is that there's no finish. The last two drives they had in the first half, they did not complete for points. You had that turnover and the interception near the end zone on the second drive, and it was a turnover on downs on the last drive to end their first half. So they need to finish. They just need to have a sense of urgency when they're getting inside the red zone, and I'm not really seeing it. I mean, I know they like to grind down the clock. I know they like to run down the ball, but they need to finish. They have to have that finish in order to win this game. So that's the one thing I need to see in the second half by the Lumberjacks. Grind down the clock all you want with that running game, with that misdirection game, and having Banks in the backfield. But you got to finish your drives. You got to finish your drives and get some points on the board.
Yeah, they've seemed to become a little one-dimensional in their offense here, and just letting Arthur Banks, geez, not the Atlanta Falcons here, Derek Banks, take the ball just about every play. We're not really seeing any passing plays. And as Jason Cooper alluded to during the broadcast here in the first half, most of their plays is just Banks running out to the left and trying to make something happen on his own.
Banks to the right, or west, or another running back. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not mixing it up much, and it's letting the Roughnecks really zero in it and really attack the line of scrimmage in that backfield. And I think that's starting to really become a detriment to the Lumberjacks, especially when we really started seeing them have success in the second half of the season was when they were running that the two-back set flanking Banks on each side, and they've even started to get away from that on some plays with only a single set to the left or to the right, and putting some guys in motion, and that doesn't seem to be having an effect. And I think they need to go back to what got them here in the first place. But a lot of credit's got to be given to the Roughnecks here. So what are you seeing that the Roughnecks are doing right here? I mean, obviously they had the big offensive play, but their defense has been stout like we thought that it could be. What are you seeing them doing to stop the Lumberjacks?
Well, you had those two turnovers on downs. They had when the Lumberjacks got that second turnover inside Roughnecks territory. The Roughnecks defense had to step it up, and they did so in a big way, creating a turnover on downs, which became points for their offense with that nice drive. Weston Bigby had a nice series in the first and in the third series, really for the Roughnecks. That's when they got things going. Hines had that nice catch and run to that first down on a third down play. But their defense, they're seeing things. I think they're relying on the predictability of this offense, of the offense of the Lumberjacks, and that's what they're seeing. When you're seeing when you become one dimensional, you become predictable. And when you're running right, running left, whether Banks keeping the ball or hitting it off to one of his running backs, sure, it can chew up the clock. But when it comes to crunch time and not allowing the other team to not allowing the Lumberjacks to score, the Roughnecks defense has been stepping it up, and I gotta give them props for being prepared and knowing seeing what's coming, just seeing what the Lumberjacks offense is giving them, and then just kind of being aggressive when they needed to. So kudos to them in this strong first half after that first touchdown allowed and off the turnover by the offense. But big props to them. Big props to them for being patient and for just kind of seeing where things are going and seeing what the Lumberjacks are giving them and just being aggressive.
Yeah, definitely. The Roughnecks seem to be the team that showed up for the moment of this playoff matchup with the knowledge that they can have a shot at a possibly colder Bombers team next week in the championship game. So they seem to have arrived for the moment, and they came to play for sure. And what I like from what I've seen out of their offense is taking that shot down the field. Yeah, I agree with DJ. It was one of the best passes, if not the best pass we've seen all year. That was an absolute dime to the receiver there.
An absolute dime.
And it came in perfect timing because it felt like to start this game that it was going to be the Banks show again, and he was going to do it all, put the team on his back, and really take this game over. And it's really gotten away from that. And the Roughnecks has really shown the Lumberjacks that if they want to win this game, they need to show them something different because they've seen the tape, they've seen the games, and they know exactly what the Lumberjacks are going to bring them, and they're ready for it. So coming up here for the second half, I expect another close, hard-fought game. I don't expect either team to run away from it. I will be very curious to see if the Lumberjacks can finally overcome some adversity, really for the first time since they lost in week 2. So I'm hoping to see some excitement here, another close finish. Ryan, it's been a pleasure for this halftime, and we're going to get this back to the booth for the crew for the second half right after this commercial break.
Hey everyone, it's Commissioner Cooper from TSS Fantasy. Want to give your own fantasy league that extra professional touch? Say less, we got you. TSS was based off a show that we did on our own fantasy league. Night, sorry, and now possible play hole. You're on your way. Now we want to bring that professional, fun, and creative side to your fantasy league. And you can do it for as low as $5 extra per owner.
Oh my.
I will guarantee it will increase your interactions within the league, create more fun, friendly banter, and give your league that extra real-life feel that you didn't know it needed. We look forward to interacting with you and your league soon. Don't forget TSSFantasy.com. Go visit it today. Get signed up. We are the fantasy show of the people.
Always gets me hyped every time I see that as well too. And as a multiple time fantasy league winning GM, I look forward to that next season as well too. I look forward to bringing in a few trophies.
Well, I'm glad we have these commercials so we can see what Jason Cooper looks like when he's not choppy from his internet. But Jason, welcome back to the program. How are you, man?
Good. Can you hear me is an important question.
We can hear you.
All right. Good. Just let me know anytime if I start to go out so I don't sound silly. I just wanted to point out, though, 2 things that I couldn't get in because of my internet. DJ hit it right on the head. Why did they not pound the rock down when they're, down there? It was effective. pound the rock up the middle. You had your big boys there. You got them tired. So the Lumberjacks, I think, missed out an opportunity there. But let's also point out great roughneck goal line defense has kept them in this game and opportune turnovers as well. So great job by the Roughnecks keeping themselves in this ball game. And I mentioned prior to it, this was the score of the final game last time. So if we have a boring second half.
What all the pressure right now is on the coaching staff of the Lumberjacks. Leonard Williams, the head coach, Roger Kelton listed as the offensive coach, and it seemed like there the whole second quarter basically the Roughnecks figured them out. Ryan McCarthy mentioned it there at halftime show as well. And DJ, what do you expect to see out of this offense from the Lumberjacks in the second half? Will they break the code, or will they be stuck in what they were doing the whole first half?
I'd like to think the first play they're going to come out and run like just halfback dive right up the middle and have one of those 250-pound plus backs just go forward and make life difficult for everybody. But it's been so Derek Banks has been so effective all year. I feel like it's going to be really hard to steer away from them. Like their entire playbook is Derek Banks saved the day probably. So it's probably hard to draw things up in the sand at this point, but maybe just some slight variations, move the tight end, move something just to give him that little extra bit of space. Because we saw him pull a few Houdini acts in that first half. Just give him a little bit of room to make some magic.
Yeah, and we talked about the league MVP possibilities throughout the game so far. And with A.J. Esther not having a chance to play in the playoffs because of the forfeit with the Rattlers, maybe Derek Banks can seal it up here with a big second half as well. Speaking of the second half, let's get to it. Second half football in LFA. Monday Night Mayhem playoff matchup. 14-8 is the score. Roughnecks over, and we're right into it. Here we go. First play of the second half. And the official says the same thing I'm saying. What is going on here?
Smooth transition from the truck there, Vince.
Yes, they were ready to go. Interesting. The official here is having more of a conversation and argument with the player versus anything else. And I don't think they're going to call anything or do anything. Whatever happened, maybe they weren't ready. The referees weren't ready for the snap. But now it looks like we are ready.
I wish we could have got a freeze frame of that ref making that hand gesture because he was literally doing the LeBron and J.R. Smith meme right there as well too. Like,
yes.
What are you doing? Like, we have not even lined up yet. I'm still standing and looking this way. You need to wait for me before you snap the ball.
Call us ESPN. We get LeBron James in somehow. Here we go. Derek Banks back to pass, throwing to the right side. He's got a man who's going across the field instead of forward, but he gets several yards there. That's DJ Pope, I believe. No, it's not. I apologize. It's Marvin Carter with the catch and about 8-yard gain there. A good play with the defense all up in Derek Banks' face. He gets the ball out and a big completion.
Yeah, not only that, he showed great arm strength because his arm was actually hit as he threw the ball. So able to deliver, as you mentioned, with the pressure in his face and hit his arm. So great throw.
Banks now looking. He's going to hold on to it straight up the middle for a couple of yards. And DJ, I don't know about you, but I sure liked the first half better when Cooper's internet wasn't working.
You know, I won't say it was better, but it was definitely a lot calmer and a little bit less reckless now as well too. But it was a little more tame. But I will say one thing he did point out is that was fantastic arm strength from Derek Banks, considering the defense is keyed in on exclusively him every single play, no matter where everybody else is going. So getting that ball off in a catchable manner was a fantastic effort.
Devontae West in the backfield with Banks. Banks takes the snap. He's going to read. He's going to give it straight up the middle again. They're trying what you said, DJ, to go straight up the middle. Not a lot of success on that attempt. They do get a yard or so, but I still think that's the right move right now because the more they pound the middle, the more that outside is going to open up as they have to make the adjustments for it.
Especially when those edges are lining up, not in like a wide 9, but like a wide 15 with how wide they are. They are not, like you can see right now, one of them is lined up as a corner, basically. They have 2 down linemen and everybody else, they're lined up on opposite hash marks. So you have to go up the middle at this point. So you just have to hope your 3 could beat their 2 at this point.
Back to pass, throwing it over the middle, and that middle is wide open. And I was getting ready to, well, you're not going to believe me. I was getting ready to say that. You got to attack the middle with the pass game because I know the argument already. Flag on the play, though. But with those guys out there and with you doing that constant running, if you can get somebody in the middle of the field and they can make a good pass, they're going to have some space to run. But it looks like penalty on the Roughnecks, offsides. I believe that or the Macarena, but I'm pretty sure it's offsides on the defense. And so another opportunity here for the Lumberjacks.
Well, to your point, Vince, that receiver was wide open. If he could have made that play, who knows? He might be taking it to the house right now. But, unfortunately, ball's tipped and goes nowhere.
Now we're going to get a run as the wide receiver comes across. Jeffrey Flournoy, who had a huge play in the first half. He's going to bring it around to the left side and a gain of a few yards.
I think that was
there
a fumble there, Vince. I believe we do have a fumble.
You're right. They're going to turn the ball over. It looks like the Roughnecks take over. I was so happy about a positive yardage run. Didn't even see the ball come loose. And we've seen the officials miss some of those fumbles this year. But this one is a turnover. No one's arguing. And it looks like Ortiz is ready to march now for the Lumberjacks, trying to extend that lead for the Roughnecks, and an opportunity now to go up 2 possessions.
That's a backbreaker for the Lumberjacks. You had a chance to get down, tie the game, get something going. You had a chance to bounce back. You found a little bit of momentum here and there, a few good plays, but
thank God my internet's back, or we wouldn't even known.
Jeter in the backfield. He's the quick back, and they're going to look to give it to him, and he is swallowed up immediately. That play, big old number 33, Jamad Armstrong. DJ mentioned him in the pregame talk about him being a bruising running back. In this case, he comes in as a bruising defender and absolutely hammers Jeter.
Goes from being a bruising running back to bruising running backs on that one as well, too. Absolutely stonewalling him right at the line of scrimmage, making it maybe a yard, if even that as well, too. So they're going to need more plays like this to get back into this game. So he's taking it upon himself to get things right.
Weston Bigby in the game right now. He'll line up. Let's see here. Oh, that's a turnover. Jason didn't see that one. That's a turnover. Banks is back in there at quarterback. He's going to hand it off and a run around to the left side. Even the drone didn't see that one happening. And just like that, the Lumberjacks take over. I apologize for not catching it till the snap. But I'm sitting there looking at it and say, oh, my goodness, that's the offense on the field.
You know what? We got some hot potatoes sponsored by NLFA these last couple of drives as the ball keeps bouncing back and forth between teams as well, too. So we had those early first half fumbles from the Roughnecks and a couple late ones from the Lumberjacks, and now they're just rotating at this point. So we'll see if the Lumberjacks can hold on to this ball and enjoy this second chance at life they got.
Yeah, I still do appreciate that they brought back Eazy-E for the reffing for the sideline. I really do appreciate it. And Vince, you should be happy my internet's back, because now you can learn about 90s hip hop, and I can bring you into our world a little bit. I mean, Eazy-E was a cool guy, man. You got to Google him, check it out. It's a good story. You might want to check it out sometime.
Yeah, I was listening to Clinton Black in those days, so a little different style, needless to say. But the Lumberjacks here now, they're trying to get the lead. They're down by, what is that, 6 points? I'm not an accountant. Shouldn't have to be to do that math.
You're there. Good job.
All right. There's a flag in the officials' pants. Let's see here. All right. I think we're good to go. Third down, second down and 6.
Getting a little crazy in the playoffs in the booth tonight.
Oh, man. Here we go. Banks, snap. Throwing off to the left, trying to get a man in space, and he's got him. It's Chris Williams, and he will not go down easily. Finally brought down, but a really nice play by Chris Williams. And again, with a smart play here by the Lumberjacks, get the ball on the outside and get it out there quickly, and then give the receiver / running back some space to work with. And that time, Chris Williams made the most of that effort.
It was kind of interesting. They brought in Dimitri Casey in the backfield as well, too, at 6'5", 225. And it seemed like he just drew just enough attention as well, too, where they can get the ball out into the flat to their other running back as well, too. So I do like the variety of personnel they're using in the backfield. Hopefully that can get something going for them.
All right, Banks back there looking, handing off. This is Casey up to the right. Nowhere to go that time. And
maybe he's a little better as a decoy than actually get the ball after all.
Yeah, no, he's had some plays.
Like not a lot of energy on the. It seemed like he was basically walking to the line once he got the ball. I know, big boy's there, bro, but like you got to hit the hole a little harder than that. You guys look like you're walking. You're not going to produce much doing it that way.
Yeah, if you're not going to hit the hole, you at least got to try to break it out to the outside, do something other than stand there and watch them tackle you. Chris Williams will be the lone back this time, so they got more receiver sets, 2 to each side. Derek Banks takes the snap. Fumble on the snap, throwing it out to the left, overthrows his man out of bounds, incomplete. I'll tell you, DJ, it looked like that time if he could have had a decent snap, he could have taken it straight up the middle himself and had some room to roam there. But another bad snap, and Jason, we've seen it all season long, but especially these last couple weeks, just a lot of problems with those snaps.
Yeah, I think you pointed out to DJ. I mean, if maybe that's what he was looking at when that ball came out, because he might have noticed what you were seeing, wanting to get that ball right away, and just took his eyes off it. And again, bad snap. So got to get these exchanges done, or you're not going to move the ball forward. That's 101.
Snap to Banks, throwing to the right side. It's caught. One move made. Avoids the tackle. Still on. Is he still up?
Wow.
He's still going.
Wow.
That might be the play of the year right there. A huge play by Marvin Carter, refusing to go to the ground.
Shades of Michael Dyer on that play, keeping his feet, holding on to his balance as well, too. Could have walked the tightrope all the way down in a huge play for the Lumberjacks as well, too. I'm still not 100% sure how he wasn't down. I don't know how he managed to completely change the laws of physics and keep himself going, but that's a huge play that they needed to get back in this game.
Just call him Neo.
Here we go. Fumble, and Banks falls on it. That's an exchange fumble there, trying to get it to the running back and maybe held on to it too long. And at some point, if you're the running back, you're just going to grab it and pull it away from the quarterback, so you don't have that issue. But Banks, I think, was trying to maybe even pull it back, held on to it too long on that read option, and they're going to lose some yards on that play. 2nd and 14, Lumberjack in scoring range, and a touchdown and conversion gives them the lead. We're going to see what they can do here. Dimitri, Casey in the backfield with Williams. They're going to give it to the wide receiver coming across. He breaks the tackle. It's Carson again. Carter again. He fumbles.
Another fumble.
Fall on. Let's see what the referee's Easy E says. First down. Incredible. He fumbled the ball, and I wasn't sure if they got it before they went out of bounds, but Easy E says they did. There's a player down.
Easily, he approached the first down. Let's put it that way. Great job by the Roughnecks. Again, we talked about it earlier, proving that they are true Roughnecks with this great defense and timely turnovers. That's what you need if you want to win ball games. Great job by the Roughnecks. Hey, guys, the clock's ticking. Remember the score from last game.
We got ourselves a Jason Adamas out here predicting the future, as by the looks of it as well, too. And kind of want to point out how for the Lumberjacks, everything has been so easy throughout the season, but right now everything just looks so hard. Even that play, like he had to break 2 tackles to gain 2 yards before fumbling. The defensive line for the Roughnecks is manhandling the Lumberjacks offensive line, both inside and outside.
Yeah, Jacoby Cass was having a conversation with the official. Looked like he was trying to tell him, hey, that wasn't a fumble, but the official, from what we've seen from him all season, doesn't really care what the players have to say. And so the Roughnecks will line up 1st and 10, and another opportunity to try to extend their lead here with approximately 3 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, this is a big drive right here. I mean, I talked about a big drive earlier before the half, but this is huge right here. Lumberjacks got to make a stop here. You can't go up by 2 scores with this time left.
Lots of pressure on Ortiz. Rolling right, throwing right. This one is out of bounds and incomplete. A good job by Ortiz to get rid of it and to not put it in a dangerous spot. He throws it out of bounds so it cannot be intercepted, because if you're the Roughnecks right now, you don't want to turn the ball over. And at the very least, a little bit of a drive and maybe flip that field over and give them some bad field position.
And that was a huge job by Devontrez Jackson, I believe, as well, too. Immediately it was in Ethan Ortiz's face and forced him to have to roll out and basically make a decision, either get hit or get this ball out of bounds. So that he's made a few huge plays here in the second half as well. So we'll see if him and this defensive line for the Lumberjacks can make a few plays to help their offense out a little bit, maybe get them the ball in better field position like we saw early in the game.
And he had someone streaking down the field as well, DJ. So if he doesn't get in his face, who knows? We might have seen another connection like we saw earlier today. So that was a huge play. I do agree.
You can tell the players are getting tired. There's a lot of different players on the field now versus what we've seen throughout the game. So guys trying to get breathers. You said there, as Devontrez Jackson got through and made a play, he comes off because he's tired. That's a big boy, 6'2", 285 Jackson is. So he's going to need a break. Oh, here we go. A big straight up the middle rush. Ortiz trying to get away. He cannot. A perfect jump by the defense. Well-timed and a good job by the defense to get out there and make the play. It looks like it is Dimitri Casey again with a big play. But there's a flag, and looks like it is being declined. He's doing the hula. Let's see here.
Yeah, I have to say on that play, Vince, I was just kind of curious if the line was upset with Ortiz at the moment because they were just like, hey, go ahead and get our quarterback, bro. That's basically what that looked like.
I didn't realize we were watching the starter right now, and they were just kind of making a statement to Paul Crew there, or to Ethan Ortiz or something. Just literally, we'll let him walk right through, right up the middle. I don't know if he was shot out of a cannon and got that fast, or if the offensive line was retaliating for some reason, because it doesn't get much faster than that.
A lot of good movie content here for you tonight on the LFA playoff matchup. 14-8, third quarter winding down. Roughnecks, at least in my opinion, surprisingly in the lead. Ortiz back at quarterback, Youngblood beside him to his left. Two tight ends lined up here. A bad snap again. Ortiz picks it up. Now he's going to try to make the motive, but the play is called dead. And
that's huge, Vince. That's huge. They called that down. Ortiz had all day to run. I'm not sure what happened, but that could have set up for a huge play for the Roughnecks. So it looks like we got a flag. I might be why.
I'm kind of curious how many yards and plays were left behind because of bad snaps or something like that. So I wonder how many big plays were just kind of that we'll never know exactly what happened because the ball ended up hopping to the quarterback.
Yeah, that was
out week as well, and not only this week with the snaps, but also in between the exchanges as well. We've seen that also. Again, this is fundamental stuff. Got to get this going, or the play goes nowhere, guys.
All right, so here we go. Ortiz towards the end of the third quarter, back to snap again. That two tight end set. Youngblood is the running back, and pitches it out. Fumble. He gets it back and brought down. That was an ugly-looking play there. If I'm the Roughnecks head coach, I'm going, guys, that's not how we drew it up.
Especially when you have the lead, you just kind of have to control things and don't shoot yourself in the foot. Well, you kind of just aimed the gun directly at your foot with that play as well, to a pitch out and the running back unable to control it. Now you have a 4th down and 24 as well. All you had to really do is kind of fall forward for 4 plays. You could have kneeled it out for 4 plays and been a better spot than you are right now.
Well, they might have got distracted by the truck putting the frame on the TV incorrectly. So, just having some fun with the guys in the booth.
Hayden, we love.
All right, let's see here. I thought
it's a fantastic game.
I think we're still
not perfect. Like, I hate leaving high-scoring players on my bench.
The worst, man.
In fact, hate it even more when I put injured players and they're in my starting lineup.
Can't have that.
And I need a life. The waivers, the trades, every single week, it grinds on me. So we at Underdog Fantasy want to make fantasy football easier for everyone out there. It's called Best Ball, and we set your optimal lineup for you each and every week. You can do it all year long. We have drafts going all the way from February to week 1 of the NFL season. What are you waiting for? Use our awesome early sign-up offer to get a little extra something on that first deposit and that first time you play on Underdog Fantasy.
You put them up, reach the skies, touch the stars up above, cause it's one time for the underdog, one time for the underdog.
To LFA, NLFA playoff football. We are firing some people when this game is over. We are back. We're back at it, getting ready for championship weekend. Who will face off against the Bombers? It's currently 14-8. Jason Cooper has been predicting the final score of this for a long time. We're going to punt it away here. We gave you the commercial break because of the end of the third, but we actually haven't switched ends of the field yet. So we'll see how that shakes out.
Decent punt.
Out of bounds.
Very good punt.
Fantastic punt. Exactly.
Yeah, great punt. Great job there by the Roughnecks. That was a good change of field position for them. Again, as you pointed out earlier, it's getting hot and it's getting late. Going to have to make a play. Mr. Banks, we're calling on the MVP. Let's see.
Yeah, if he wants that trophy, now's the time to go get it, and it's there for him to take for sure. And now the whistle blows. Now it's the end of the third quarter. We're going to keep it here, though, if that's okay, Mr. Truck Person, who tried to cut me off before. She said I was wrong. Anyways, we're back at it. I'll tell you what, guys, this has been an absolute blast this year, being able to be a part of the NLFA and to be a part of this great game now as we head down to the final stretch of the season for this teams. We'll talk more about the other sports that we have going on as well on Belly Up TV here in a little bit. But you said it already. Banks now in, looking for that MVP moment. He's got Devontae West to his right. He's going to throw it quickly to the left. Caught and whistled.
I think they ruled it incomplete.
Okay. That's Jeffrey Flournoy, the intended receiver on the play. Must have been thrown low.
Good pressure again by the Roughnecks. DJ talked about it, that attack on the outside that they're setting. They're coming in attacking. That's what you saw there. He wasn't able to get the throw off, and that's why you saw the incomplete pass.
The offensive linemen are not they're not doing their guy any favors right now. You're blocking, you really have to block two guys, and it's the two middle guys, and then move so you can go up the gut. But right now they're getting absolutely manhandled and leaving everybody else to roam around the outside. So they got to find a way to get something changing on the interior offensive line.
Yeah, and they're trying to counter that basically the fact that the offensive line's not blocking by those quick throws to the outside. But eventually, with these guys, they're lining out there basically like slot corners. They're going to be able to jump that pass and make something happen with it if they're not careful. Derek Banks in shotgun. Gives it to West up the middle. That's what we've been looking for. It's what DJ's been calling for. A big play by Devontae West getting up the middle there for a solid gain. It looks like about 6 yards.
I will once again take my offensive coordinator paycheck in a briefcase if any of these NLFA teams are looking. So at this point, you just have to get a little bit of a push, and you got to trust your running back or your ball carrier or your quarterback to simply just get up the gut and beat those outside guys that are basically playing nickel corner just to get upfield before they can get around the edge at this point, because you can't keep going around the edges. It has not worked at all in the second half.
Yeah, and it's getting late, like I said, getting late, and it's hot. Again, pound the rock, get it to him. Let's see what Banks can do, though.
He's looking to pass, going down the left side.
Oh my God. He had him. In my little bit of time playing football, I know that's one of the more difficult catches to make. If you're running down the sideline, looking to the right, then try to turn around to the other side, it's very difficult to get back your focus to that ball. So, unfortunately, it drifted on him.
That's one that Derek Banks is going to look back and be kicking himself for. They couldn't stick it right on him as well, too. That was probably their best opportunity to get a big play strike. So we'll see if they can maybe draw one up, but it's going to be tough to get too much easier than that one.
Man, that one, what an opportunity missed there by Marvin Carter, who made a big play earlier in this game as well. Now looking again to the left. Now got a man. First down and a lot of room to go. Finally brought down there, number 23. It's Jeffrey Flournoy again. He made a big run earlier in the game, and now a big catch and run afterwards. First down and a huge opportunity here for the Lumberjacks.
You mentioned it earlier, Vince. They missed it on the one play way earlier in the game. They set this up earlier, and you talked about it. You want to set up the pass attack, get him across the middle on a slant. They got it that time. Look how far he went. They're in great field position.
That's honestly the perfect answer back after missing the big play right before you get a different type of big play right afterwards, and you followed up with that much asked for run up the middle for a couple of yards.
Run up the middle to Devontae West again. They get some positive yards on the play. And now the Lumberjacks, they got that momentum back going for them. One of our listeners just commented, Banks shouldn't get the MVP. He threw it over the wrong shoulder of the receiver, but he made up for it the next play. Here we go. Now we're looking to run to the right side this time. Oh, we got something happening. Running up the right side, eventually pushed out of bounds. Dimitri Casey getting the carry here.
That was one of the few times they've been able to get around the edge and actually get it sealed in the second half as well, too. So a great job blocking there and taking out the edge defender, even though the edge defender had a good probably 3 to 4 yards of space head start on him as well, too. So great blocking on that play to give him a little bit of space.
Lumberjacks doing a little Muhammad Ali, jab, jab, jab up the middle, and then hit him with some uppercuts on the outside. Let's see if they can put it in. 3rd and 3, big third down.
I said the wrong Casey for what it's worth. Dante Casey with the carry. He's going to get another opportunity around the right side. Tackled there is made, but another couple yard positive gain there. Weston Bigby with the tackle, but another run there by Casey.
That's a big first down right there, too, it looks like. So second and 5. I'm not sure what's going on there. I thought it was first down. It looks like we got a 2nd and 5, apparently. So, getting closer to the goal line. Let's see if they can punch us in.
I would like
we
to
don't have
see
a great angle where we
on
sit.
this play. Just saying.
All right. Whistle blows. Timeout. Timeout is called for. Make sure they get it right?
Sweat glistening in the hot Louisiana sun.
You can say that sentence multiple different ways and make it either a positive thing or a negative thing, right? Here we go. Banks, the handoff. We're going to see another run. They're just continuing to pound that right side, and he is down this time. That one is Dimitri Casey. So the Casey brothers getting a lot of touches here late in the game. Third down.
Just kind of go back to what they've been doing so successfully all year as well, too, is just getting the ball up and down, like getting it vertically, not trying to stretch it too much horizontally. Put your foot in the ground and get north and south.
Yeah, we pointed out the last time they stalled the drive, it was that that same thing. Got a little too cute, pounded up the middle. You're here. You can see, look at the Roughnecks, got the hands on the hips. They're tired. Attack. Let's get this in we're the Lumberjacks.
You should be able to get 2 yards. Dimitri Casey and Devontae West in the backfield with Banks. Banks is looking to throw the football, though. He throws it over the middle. It is caught. Touchdown.
What a man-sized catch right there.
That's a Wheaties catch. That's the one for the Wheaties box so far. He showed some incredible strength prying that one from the defender as well, too. It's a little bit of a 50-50 ball, but the receiver managed to make that a 75-20 ball with a fantastic effort.
And a huge touchdown catch right there.
Touchdown Lumberjacks. They tie the game 14-14.
Now we got a
huge
extra point here.
Huge indeed.
My thought here is, do the Lumberjacks go with just running up the gut like we always ask for? Or is this where they try and get too cute? This is what I'm wondering as well, too, because sometimes the simplest option is the best option. So I wonder if they overthink it or if they just let Derek Banks take this one right up the gut.
I go with your MVP.
I say go slant right. They're going to run it, though. It's Casey up the middle. He gets it. He steps it in. A little prime action there as the Lumberjacks take the lead 16-14 with just under 7.5 minutes to go in the first ever NLFA playoff game on Belly Up TV. And we have a doozy of a game here, fellas.
Wow, what a score late. I mean, guys, we've been waiting for this all season, and now we get it in the playoffs. This is what we're talking about. Exciting football in the playoffs. Easy E on the mic, and DJ with me as well. What you think, brother?
I got to say, too, one thing that I'm really curious about is that was a very, very taxing drive for both teams. You could see the hands on the hips, the sweat pouring down, the helmets coming off as well, too. For the Roughnecks, you guys that are playing that both ways, you got to find a way to get second wings. You got to go down the field quick, fast, in a hurry. If you're the Lumberjacks, you can't get tired and give them too much time, and you can't get lazy, too. So I'm really curious to see how the war of attrition plays out on this drive specifically.
You're right. And the Lumberjacks, they have a little bit of a deeper team. They've got more guys that have played at least throughout the season and given valuable minutes and snaps throughout the season. So it would seem that they have maybe the fresher team at this moment as well. And now they have the momentum going their direction as well. So now Ortiz steps up behind center. He's got Youngblood to his right.
We have a delay of game apparently called. That's not the way you want to start this drive if you're the Lumberjacks with a penalty and especially a delay of game one at that. We got to get out and get on the field and get these points up, fellas.
Jason, you and I have called several games together this season, and we've seen this happen over and over again. At the time where they needed something positive the most, they start going the wrong direction. They start going backwards. Ethan Ortiz now gets the snap. This one they get off. He hands it to Youngblood. There is nowhere to go. Byron Turner all over him, and 0 yards, as a matter of fact, and possibly negative yards on that play for the Roughnecks.
that you could see on this one, the Lumberjacks defense almost getting a second wind after seeing their offense score and get into the end zone as well too. So maybe we see this defense even crank it up to 11 here just in the nick of time as well. And see if the Roughjacks can bounce back. I mean, second down and 15, 16 or so, this is not where you wanted to be unless you got another one of those miraculous big plays in your back pocket. You're ready to break out here.
And with 5 minutes left with a running clock, why are we running the football, may I ask?
Noah Stanley is out to the right. He's the one that got the big touchdown pass earlier in the game. They're going to look to the left this time, and it's caught by DJ Pope. I've never met a DJ I liked. Oh, I'm sorry. And we are back. Positive yards for the Roughnecks. And there's at least a pass play, Jason. You asked why they were running the ball. But at this point, I mean, you're only down by 2, so you just got to get some positive yards. So let's see what they do and how they work. They can still march. They got time to march, and you don't want to leave any time on the clock either. But you don't want to shoot yourself trying to take time off the clock. Ortiz snaps, going left, wide open down the left side. Oh. And this one's incomplete. He had two receivers streaking down the left side, and he can't hit either one of them. Had he thrown that one on the inside, that's a touchdown.
Agreed. He had the guy. I think he just got a little too happy feet, went to the outside guy. If he goes on the inside, that's money touchdown. And by the way, Vince, you should watch how you speak about that player, because especially you with the last name of Pope, that might affect your broadcasting ability. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Well, I'm a Baptist preacher. We don't care about popes. Tavarius Harris was the man on the outside who the pass was intended to. DJ Pope on the inside. And, man, when he threw that ball, I thought Pope had a touchdown. And then all of a sudden the camera spun and the ball went to the further outside, incomplete. Very fortunate there for the Lumberjack defense because nobody had Pope going up the middle there in that slot roll.
Big fourth down for the Roughnecks.
Rolling left, pointing left. Now running back around. I've seen this before. Throwing it up. And it is either intercepted or incomplete. Either way, it's going to be Lumberjacks ball. They're going to say interception. Easy E says that's an easy pick. First down for the Lumberjacks.
Great job, Vince. You're learning as we go. I love it. Evolving, would you say? And I think, unfortunately, that was more of an Ortiz trying to make something happen for the Lumberjacks. Hey, guy, listen, you got better field position if you just don't catch the ball. I know you want the stats, but, hey, it's team football here. Let's go.
No,
I'm 100% for the stats.
Too, so you got to get paid still. You got to get paid. It's a new set of stats in the playoffs. So, go get your pick, youngster.
True story.
You got more room to kill the clock now.
True story.
Cornerbacks got to eat too. All right, here we go. Lumberjacks take over. Now, with the lead, they're looking just to run clock and not do anything stupid. And I trust Derek Banks to not do anything stupid. Let's see what they do. Snap, handoff, straight up the middle, and successful play number 1. Even though there's not a lot of yards in it, Devontae West gets back to the line of scrimmage, and the clock will run.
Delonte West doing the exact opposite of what I just saw a minute ago, doing what you're supposed to do. Put your head down. He's not looking to make a big play. He's looking to run that clock, put his head down, get down without fumbling the football. So smart football there for Delonte.
And the Roughnecks are continuing to play that really, really wide edge as well, too. So you've got to find a way to get moving up the field. As you did mention, there's some laundry on the field as well, too.
Unsportsmanlike conduct.
Oh, come on, guys. Come on. No, it's hot.
Oh, this is not the time for it if you're the Roughnecks. That's not helping you in any way, shape, or form. They're going to get a first down now, and that's just going to allow them to ideally finish off this game unless something crazy happens. Well, but I would love to know. I would love to know what happened there, because again, your clock's running down. Game's almost over. Why would you do anything like that as the losing team before the snap even happened? So here we go. Handoff. Casey brought down immediately, but again, that's fine. If you're the Lumberjacks right now, you're just running clock.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it looks like they're just looking to close this game out at this point.
Taking a little bit of wear and tear for his troubles at the back end of that. Is still catching a little bit of a hit just for the efforts as well, too. If he did keep it, they weren't going to let him get away with it.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well just take a knee at this point. Timeout is being called now by the Roughnecks, so they're going to go with the 15-yard penalty, then they're going to stop the run, then they're going to call, and it says fourth down on the screen, but I don't believe it is fourth down. I believe it's second down after that penalty.
I wanted to point out earlier on the pass that, we were talking about to Pope. Maybe there's a little bit of wind down there because we saw Banks miss earlier also in that same respect. So
Banks takes the snap. They're getting fancy, going with that little jet sweep around the edge. Is he able to stay in bounds is the question I have. Getting close to that sideline he is, but you want to be very careful with those kind of plays. Don't do anything to risk stopping the clock. Our truck tells us that there was a little bit of talking to the sideline going on by Weston Bigby. That was the 15-yard penalty, or possibly somebody else. But nonetheless, it does not matter at this point.
That was the best play by the truck all night, Vince.
That was. They finally contributed something. All right, so we, of course, kid. We love all of the team here at Belly Up TV. A lot of great effort and work going into the broadcast, and we appreciate everyone's involvement with it. Now, here we go. It is 3rd down and 14. Snap. He's going to throw the football. Are you kidding? Wow. Almost intercepted as it gets tipped up into the air and then brought down, and I'm telling you, that is not smart.
They almost saw this game, all this hard work, go bye-bye in one play, Vince. That definitely was not astute football for sure.
That was almost a blunder bowl. We almost just saw this game completely flip on its head as well, too. I'm not sure what the rationale was. I know it's like 3rd down and a mile, but you don't need to get this 1st down on that play necessarily as well, too. You don't need to throw that. You don't need to risk anything. So the rationale behind it is, unless they're playing Madden and I just missed and you got to stuff the stat sheet a little bit, but very questionable decision making.
Well, I think according to the truck, it's more like FIFA as we're going into overtime minutes, apparently, as we go. So
4th and 17. I'm surprised they haven't cut to a commercial yet. Throwing to the right, the dart thrown at the running back's head. Dodgeball there. He dodged it. No one's out. And turnover on downs. A really interesting play there by choices here by the Lumberjacks. I'm not sure what they're thinking there, DJ. It doesn't make any sense, even though it is 4th down still. I mean, I guess on 4th down you can throw it, but 3rd down doesn't make any sense.
I'm confused. You're a run-first team in the first place, so it's not like you're a team that passes it all the time and this is how you move the ball. Like, your bread, butter, and everything else on the plate is usually running the ball. So I don't see why you didn't just go right up the gut a few times, and then maybe on a 4th down you'd have a more manageable and you could toss it. But I'm really confused right now. I really don't know what the rationale was. Maybe I'm just missing something.
I think I might be able to help that because it's a running clock. Like, our mentality of running up the middle and running the clock, like, doesn't matter. We could throw the ball and run the clock.
Let's stop in the last minute of each half.
Oh, that I guess I can't tell.
Flag on the play here as they boy, the Roughnecks go the wrong direction. Let's see what the call is. The referee is
maybe here
looking. Still looking. A lot of confusion. The players look confused. The officials look confused. The downs don't matter.
They want to accept it.
Holding on the offense.
They were asking if they were going to accept it, Vince.
And they chose not to. So they still went backwards on the play, though. They tried to run it there and did not work. You got to be looking at some deep passes now. Again, you got DJ Pope, Tavares Harris on the left side, Noah Stanley on the right side. Ryan talked pregame about a receiver that has done a lot of good things this season. Darian Jacobs-Hudson not playing in this game. Not sure if it's injury related or what it might be. But we're going to see now Tavares Harris actually goes to the right side this time. Bigby in the backfield. Ortiz takes the snap, pitching it to Bigby, who's looking to throw it down the right side. Incomplete. Ortiz was hoping for a flag. Doesn't look like he's going to get it.
Well, they did take some notes from you in the pregame as well, too, with Bigby having some quarterback experience, getting him involved there. But it might have been a little too little, a lot too late, and another bad snap in the way, kind of holding back what could have been.
Yeah, they're not going to – I don't think you're going to have your safeties pull up on that play. So I think you might have saved that one for earlier.
Good point as well. But, yeah, I like the idea of trying something. But, again, with Ortiz, that pass he threw in the first half, that was just so beautiful. Why not just get – 5 guys up there on the line and make an effort here. Try to get somebody open. They're going to go 2 to the right again, 1 to the left. Bigby will be in the backfield to the left of Ortiz. Ortiz now takes the snap. Bad snap. It's high. He's going to throw it out to the left. It is incomplete, I believe.
Yeah, it's too bad he just could have waited a little bit more. He had looked like he had the running back swiveling on the wheel route wide open. Could have made something of that. Maybe even ran out of bounds. So missed an opportunity there.
I'm curious about the slant, why they had a slant on there in the first place. I think you'd want your outside guys clearing deep to try and get those big plays, because even if he catches the slant, he's not going much farther as well too, unless he Houdini's his way forward. So curious if they're not gonna start trying to stretch the field a little bit more.
Well, I think that was the play though, DJ. I think they were, and I think he just read it wrong. You're supposed to bring the guy in, maybe hope that wheel route goes deep, and he just went for the slant guy, like you said. Why are we throwing it to that guy? I don't know.
Your guess
Ortiz
is
takes the snap, throwing to the left, looking for Bigby. Bigby cannot pull it in, incomplete, and that was fourth down. And turnover on downs now. The Lumberjacks, I believe, take over on downs. And what a miserable last possession there for the Roughnecks. Really couldn't make anything happen with the opportunity they had.
Yeah,
just stall. Sorry, Dito. I thought you were going. Stalled drives, unfortunately, by the Roughnecks and missed opportunities. Lots of turnovers, though, on both teams, but looks like Banks made his claim to the MVP title tonight by bringing it home for his team today. Big drive for them. They made the play when it happened, and let's not forget, the 2-point conversion is the biggest thing. Walked it right in the end zone with some high stepping.
The victory formation here for the Lumberjacks. They're going to bring everybody in tight for the big kneel down. Let's talk quickly. I'm sure the post-game crew will talk about it as well. Now the matchup looks like it's Lumberjacks versus Bombers. Kind of the matchup we were hoping for, just in regards to the games that we've seen so far this season. What do we think about Derek Banks versus AJ Esther in the championship?
One thing I will point out, too, before I let Jason go, is I think the Bombers are watching this one, and their defensive coordinators have a big old grin on their face, because we saw the Roughnecks, a team not known for any defense whatsoever, find a way to put the clamps on this offense for the greater part of 2.5 to 3 quarters. So I think that's something to look out and see how the Lumberjacks will adjust their offense, knowing that they're going to see a very similar type of defense next year as far as scheme goes, or next week, excuse me.
Yeah, and the Bombers, look, every time, they've put it to the Lumberjacks. They match up well with them. So we'll see what the Lumberjacks bring next week. But I'm excited to see both MVP candidates go against each other. Hopefully the lines hold up and we get some good football like we saw today. But again, Bombers are no joke, especially against the Lumberjacks. They match up well, so we'll see.
Well, gentlemen, the final score, 16-14. The Roughnecks cannot hold on to their lead. Lumberjacks take the lead. That sets up Lumberjacks and Bombers next week. And it's a fun game, actually a really fun game today, very closely fought. Let's get our thoughts now from the guys handling things back in New York. Andrew LeDuc and Ryan McCarthy join us now.
Was that the problem with the booth? It was so far away? Was that why?
That may have been what it was.
Yeah, no, look, this game delivered on all aspects. This is exactly what we wanted to see, a nice, close, hard-fought matchup. We thought the Roughnecks had some opportunities there at the end to close it out. And ultimately, I think the bigger point I took from this is that the Lumberjacks did not look like the crisp, explosive team that we came to know them over the past few weeks of the season. And I agree with DJ. I think when the Bombers are watching this game, I think they've learned some stuff that they're going to be able to use to their advantage. And I think this is now, like I was saying pregame, I was thought the advantage was going to go to the winner of this game, given how little the Bombers have played recently. I think we got a pretty even field if this is how the Lumberjacks are going to play next week. So I'm looking forward to a nice, close, exciting championship game. There should be a lot of offense in that game. How are you feeling, Ryan, about this now known matchup, Lumberjacks and Bombers?
I don't disagree with you there. I think it was just a matter of the Lumberjacks having that run attack, just the ground and pound offense of Rex Ryan back in the day, just taking on the clock and finally taking advantage of the opportunity to punch it in when they needed to punch it in. So, but next week's going to be a banger, as they say in Great Britain. It's going to be a banger. It's going to be a fun one. I'm going to enjoy it along with you guys up in the booth, going to be commentating on the game. So, this is an enjoyable game. I kudos to Andrew on his prediction of taking the Lumberjacks in this game. I was holding my breath for a bit. because I wanted my prediction to come through. But as I said in the pregame, it was going to be ground pound situation. The Lumberjacks had to keep the ball on the ground. They had a big pass play on their last drive to keep the drive alive, and good on them. Best wishes to them in the championship game next week. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, don't forget too, like as you guys were talking, the Bombers effectively with the Rattlers not playing basically have a bye week this week. So, they're sitting around waiting, like you said, salivating, watching tape tonight, getting ready for this big matchup. It's going to be a tough ask for the Lumberjacks.
Yeah, and I love that, like you said, Jason, coming down to the two probably most likely MVP candidates between Esther and Banks. We're going to get to see an air show, let them really take it on. And I think that's what the Lumberjacks are going to need. They're going to need to mix in some pass plays because they have just, like I said at halftime, they became way too one-dimensional in this game, and it really allowed the Roughnecks to stay in this and almost win this in the end. So I'm hoping they can mix in some pass plays so we can see some excitement and see some mixing it up.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about in this game, too, is the Lumberjacks, they've got good depth, but there's no team deeper than the Bombers in this league. And what they can come out and do with the amount of depth that they have and with the how fresh they are, having not played, my sources tell me the Rattlers thought after watching Rich strike, they could just run in at the last second and score a touchdown in this game to make it to the finals. It does not happen that way. And but I think Bombers and Lumberjacks, and I don't mean this harshly against the Roughnecks, but that's the game I wanted to see. Two dynamic offenses and some really good defenses as well. It's going to be about who makes the least amount of mistakes in that game. But as you've already said, I think seeing Banks and Esther go head-to-head is going to be an absolutely blast of a championship game for the NLFA.
I'm curious if the Bombers are going to have any issues with snaps. We saw a lot of issues with the snaps today. I wonder if having that time off, maybe a little bit of rust kicks in as well too, or if maybe they don't have as much, they're not as much wear and tear and they're able to hold on to it. And I'm curious if we'll see the Lumberjacks have a little bit better luck with the snaps, because how many plays do you think we saw left on the field from bad snaps? Probably a good 5,000 yards. It felt like maybe 6 touchdowns just left behind. So we'll see if there's just the most simple part of the game could be cleaned up for both teams next week.
We pointed this out last week too, DJ. It's just this been a constant thing that we've noticed, and I've talked about that before. If you can't get that first fundamental down, the play goes nowhere. So as we've been talking about, I'm sure the Bombers have been watching, taking note of that. Once you get that simple exchange, we move forward, and we know what AJ Esther could do when he starts moving forward. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I mean, it sounds cliche, but whoever's going to be able to protect the ball the most next week is probably going to be your winner of that game, and it's what it's going to come down to. The fundamentals of football is what we're going to see here. And, speaking of next week, we will have that championship game for you right here on Belly Up TV, same time, same place, same crew with some additional faces as well. We're going to bring out all the punches for you to get you the best product possible for what is sure to be an exciting matchup between the Lumberjacks and the Bombers for your championship of the NLFA. Before we sign off, any final words from my fellow co-hosts here? Anybody got anything to add before we sign off?
I just want to remind people, if they're like football this time of year, tomorrow night on Belly Up TV, tune in. We got more of it, a brand new league to Belly Up TV, so make sure you tune in. We're going to continue live sports to you and great coverage from Belly Up Sports all together.
I will be on that call. I'll be on play-by-play for that game, so don't miss out. It'll be fun.
Yeah, we got some more things coming up too. We have some basketball. Me and Andrew have a little show with some croquet. Believe it or not, we can make we can make shiny balls interesting. We can do anything. But we got a lot of great stuff coming up to Belly Up TV. It's so keep joining in, keep tuning in. Along with all these fellas here, have some amazing shows. So check all that great stuff out as well.
Yeah, and also on YouTube right now, along with this broadcast, as this broadcast ends, stay on YouTube on Belly Up Sports channel. We got ERICA Racing. Got a contest going on right now.
Vroom, vroom.
Vroom for sure. Well, that's going to do it for us here on Monday Night Mayhem. One more big championship week for you. For all
Wait a minute. Hold on, Andrew.
Let your crew member.
DJ's dog wants to take a poop right on his bed before we head out.
It was a rough stretch. It's a rough stretch for the game as well too. So we'll just let him get his airtime next time.
We'll put Amber Heard out and let's end this broadcast. So.
Well, that's a great note to end on. Way to go, Andrew. That's not tough to say anything after that one.
We had easy E references. We had an Amber Heard reference. I think we can call it right now.
We can call it. We will see you next week for NLFA championship game. For all you fans, make sure to tune back in, same time, same place. We'll be here for you. Have a good rest of the week, everyone.